and that's a federal offense. So, what they had to do was that quick thinking, they had to change their ways, and they put a buffer car, which basically was filled with cotton bales. Then they had the people. Yay! Then they had the mail. So if there was an explosion, the cotton bales should take up most of it. Maybe some people get injured, but most importantly, the mail is safe. Yay, letters! Oh, and by the way, guys, just a heads up, writing letters is cool. So if you have somebody that you're like really interested in, possibly in a special way, write them a letter. Because there's nothing cooler. There's nothing cooler than getting a letter from someone because it's so personal. Oh, also guys, as you grow up, write out thank you letters. Because it does make people feel important that you did go out of your way. Especially if you have like a job interview. Wait 2 days, send them off that. And go, oh, this was a nice guy. Now, even despite this, and we do have railroads, guys, we don't have more than 9,000 miles in the 1850s. Why? Because basically there's no real rail standards, like how far wide apart you can have your tracks. That's called gauge. And there's also fierce competition. Like if these two were having separate railroads, you had the line from Dallas to Austin, you have the line from Austin to Laredo. You're not going to have the same gauge as her, and she's not going to have the same gauge as you, because neither of you wants the other one to use your rail. Not only that, but your rail station is going to be at the northeastern part of Austin. Hers is going to be on the southwestern. If I'm using y'all's services, I have to basically, at Austin, I have to incur the extra cost, as well as time, of unloading all the cargo, carting it to the other side of town, to her station, loading it all back up. And guys, it was just frustrating. A lot of people didn't do it. I love it. Here you can see we had no idea what passenger cars should really look like. Now guys, this revolution in transportation pretty much caused a revolution in the transmission of information. Now it used to be that people feared that America was too big to actually make it work. I mean, in the 1790s, it took a week to travel from Virginia to New York City, and 3 weeks for a letter from Cincinnati to get to the Atlantic coast. Indeed, it used to take so long that some people, like Thomas Jefferson, believed that America would grow up as, a bunch of small republics with the states within the larger republics of the federal government. But with the completion of the Erie Canal, all of this changed. As letters from Buffalo might reach New York City in 6 days, might even get to New Orleans in as little as 2 weeks. It made the world that much smaller. Reflective of this, in 1790, the newspapers and magazines dramatically increased. In 1790, we had 92 newspapers with a circulation of 4 million. In 1835, we have 1,258 newspapers with a circulation of 90 million. Now, why do so many people now want to find out news about other areas? Well, let's say you're a lumber owner up in Cleveland. You have a lumber mill. Well, he reads about a huge fire that broke out in New Orleans, wiping out a large part of that city. You want to make money, so you're getting contacts and everything out to New Orleans. Hey, buy your lumber from me. Or buy it from somebody I know that can, I get a finder's fee for that. Okay? Now, today, we used to have in flight the Concorde, supersonic transport, which, if it was flying from London to New York, because it crossed the time zones and it traveled so quickly, you would actually arrive before the time you had left. Okay? So you would arrive before you actually left in England. Okay? It flew so high you'd actually see the curvature of the earth. Okay? Well, guys, do we have a lot of newspapers? No. So how do we get our information?
Over the web.
Over the web, what you kids use. Guys, basically, it's instantaneous. Not only that, but cable news stations, goodness knows how many there are of them. Okay? And once again, it's instantaneous. Well, there was a guy who wanted this instantaneous transmission of information. Is my screen still on that camera? Okay. If the screen goes off, let me know, because I think that's when it clicks off. Samuel F.B. Morse. This guy was a painter, sculptor, president of the New York School of Design. He began experimenting with chemistry and electricity, producing the electric telegraph, which he patented in 1836. Look, I press down here, and it goes down over there. But guys, he doesn't do anything with it until 1843. Now wait a minute, why did Samuel Morse, look, I do this and it does that over there. Why did he wait till 1843 to do anything? Okay, I do this and it goes down over there. Mm-hmm. What did he have to develop? He had to develop the language, had to develop the code. That's printed on every kid's walkie-talkie out there. It's like beep, 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 E-S-O-L. Okay, but guys, once he comes up with the code, he goes to the government, he gets the funding to build a telegraph line from Baltimore to Washington, D.C. And on May 24th, 1844, the first message ever transmitted was, "What hath God wrought?" Oh my. Now, you know what's funny? You know why Samuel F.B. Morse was so insistent that this almost instantaneous form of contact could be developed? Because he seriously thought that the Catholics were plotting to strip the West away from America. And he wanted a way that the government could be informed immediately. Kind of a bunch of fun little stuff on him. A manufacturing boom. I want to work in a factory. All right, now before this shift to manufacturing, 60% of America's clothing was spun from raw fibers in women's homes. Basically, you'd get the cotton to turn it into the thread. You'd use a spinning jenny. And then if you had a loom, you could make fabric. If not, you'd wait till someone came into town. They actually had the loom weavers that would come into town and make people's fiber for them. Some households even made their own furniture, clocks, and tools, even though skilled craftsmen made more of these. These craftsmen worked from their homes and usually took their apprentices and journeymen from the same family. And from the 1820s up, more and more moved out of the home. Indeed, homemade stuff used to start being looked down upon. Kind of like, guys, one of the most awesome things in the world is hot homemade bread. Taken directly out of the oven with a cold slab of butter that is just melting because it can't contain the heat. And it's spreading out, and that is nirvana. Either that or a hot Greek biscuit with cold feta cheese. And the reason why I know that is because I worked at a Greek pizza as a delivery driver when I was at UT Austin. And after a hot didn't work, you just go and give them Anyway, but guys, even though hot homemade bread is awesome, if you make a sandwich out of it and give it to your kid to go to school, are the other students going to think that's cool? No. Why don't you have Wonder Bread? Guys that can't even afford Wonder Bread? Man, your parents